Chapter 20. Flood of Fury. The ground beneath my feet trembles, a constant reminder of the approaching doom. I peer through the narrow gap in the palisade, straining to see into the forest's gloomy edge. The air is thick, heavy with fear and the sour stench of sweat. My eyes scan the gathered tribespeople, faces I've known all my life, now etched with dread. Quovac stands rigid, his eyes fixed on the horizon. I remember trailing him as a kid, watching in awe as he read the forest like an open book. Now his face is a mask of grief and determination. He lost Tekla and their unborn child to the attack, and I can see the fierce protectiveness in his stance as he glances back at little Suro. If Quovac falls, who will guide our hunters? Who will raise Suro? Roan's breath, how did we get here? Zolesh is at the front, his normally jovial face set in grim lines. He's family now, not just some outsider. If anyone can get us through this nightmare, it's him, but even he looks shaken. Raimund's there too, his skilled hands running over his spear shaft. How many homes has he built? How many cribs and weapons? Will his craft die with him if the worst happens? The weight of what we could lose almost sweeps me off my feet like a raging current. Every face here is a story, a part of my life. How many will be left when the sun sets? Yoren. I turn to see Kyra approaching, her steps sure despite the trembling ground. She's changed so much since Zolesh started training her. Gone is the scrappy kid, replaced by a warrior with fire in her eyes. But Tuck's mercy, she's only 14. The thought of her facing down a horde of Dracoliths makes me want to vomit. Kyra, I start, but she cuts me off. Save it, she says, her voice low. You left without a word, but that doesn't matter now. I feel a rush of shame, followed quickly by confusion. What do you mean it doesn't matter? I thought, we might all die today, Yoren. She interrupts, her eyes boring into mine. There are bigger things at stake than hurt feelings. The intensity in her gaze makes my heart race, and not just from fear. When did she grow up so much? When did I start seeing her as more than just Chiron's little sister? You're right, I admit. But Kyra, if we survive this, I want you to come with me, beyond the borders. There's so much out there we need to understand. Her eyes widen, a flicker of something. Excitement? Fear? Crossing her face. Beyond the borders? Yoren, that's crazy. We need to stay here. Protect what's left of our people. But don't you see? That's exactly why we need to go. I argue, my voice rising with passion. There are answers out there, Kyra. About the Dracoliths, about the protective barrier from the Ancient Ones, about those powers or whatever it is that keep coming to me. If we don't find out what's really going on, we'll never truly be safe. She shakes her head, frustration clear on her face. And what about everyone here? We can't just abandon them. The tension between us is palpable, a mix of shared fear, opposing views, and something else. Something I'm not ready to name. I want to reach out, to touch her face, to make her understand. But before I can, a bone-chilling roar cuts through the air. They're coming. Kyra's hand finds mine, squeezing tight. For a moment, we're not arguing about the future. We're just two scared kids facing down the end of the world. Whatever happens, she whispers, but doesn't finish. I nod, throat too tight to speak, not needing her to finish her thoughts. As the first monstrous shapes break through the tree line, I make a silent vow. We'll survive this. We have to. Because there's so much left unsaid between us, so much left to explore. The battle for our lives begins, but in that moment, all I can think is, please, let us have a future to argue about. The distant roar breaks the tense silence, and I feel my heart rate spike. They're almost here. I grip my spear tighter, trying to draw strength from the solid wood beneath my fingers. As I look around one last time at these faces, some friends, some strangers, all family in the eyes of the tribe, I make a silent vow. Whatever happens today, I'll fight with everything I have. For them, for us, for the future of our tribe. The ground begins to tremble beneath our feet. It's time. Then I see them. Roan's breath, there are so many. Dracoliths of all sizes burst from the tree line, their scales glinting in the fading light. Some are massive, easily twice the size of the one we fought in the forest. Others are smaller, no less deadly, their movements quick and erratic. They pour out of the forest like a flood of teeth and claws. I feel the blood drain from my face. How in the void are we supposed to fight this? We're so outnumbered it's not even funny. This isn't a battle, it's a slaughter waiting to happen. Ansel's voice cuts through my spiraling thoughts.
Warriors, advance! Meet them before they reach the palisade.
What? Is he insane? We'll be torn apart out there. But even as doubt gnaws at me, I see the logic. Better to face them in the open than risk them breaking it through our defenses. Still, my legs feel like lead as I move to join the others.
Hunters,
Ansel shouts.
Loose your arrows as soon as you have a clear shot. Don't waste a single one.
The first volley of arrows arcs through the air, a deadly rain descending on the approaching horde. Several of the smaller Dracoliths fall, pierced by multiple shafts, but the larger ones, the arrows barely seem to slow them down. Tuck, take me. I grip my spear tighter, my palms slick with sweat. This is it. This is where I die, for real this time. What was the point of surviving the griffin if I'm just going to get eaten by a Dracolith anyway? No, Tornu wouldn't think like that. He'd find a way. He'd keep fighting. As we move beyond the palisade, I hear Caldo's voice rising above the chaos.
Hold the line! Don't let them break through!
Easy for him to say. He's not staring down a wall of teeth and claws with nothing but a pointy stick for protection. The first wave hits us like a storm of scales and fury. I thrust my spear forward, feeling it sink into flesh. A smaller Dracolith screeches in pain, thrashing wildly. Its tail whips around, catching me in the side, and I stumble, nearly losing my grip on the spear. Pain explodes across my ribs. Well, damn it, that's going to leave a mark. If I live long enough for it to even bruise, that is. To my left, I see Kyra dancing between two Dracoliths, her movements fluid and precise as she makes a thin line across both of their thick, scaly throats that burst open with a torrent of blood as they shake weakly for a brief moment before collapsing forward. For a minute, I feel a surge of pride. We're not going down without a fight. But then I see it. A massive Dracolith barreling towards us, bigger than any I've ever seen. It's easily the size of 3 huts put together, its hide scarred and battle-worn. This thing has seen more fights than our entire tribe combined, and it's hungry for more. The beast's roar shakes the very ground beneath our feet. I watch in horror as it charges into our ranks, its massive jaws snapping shut around Quovac. Our tracker's scream is cut short, replaced by the sickening crunch of bone. Blood sprays in an arc as the Dracolith shakes its head, tearing Quovac in two. I'm frozen, my body refusing to move as my mind reels from the sheer brutality of it all. The Dracolith's tail sweeps across the battlefield, sending bodies flying like rag dolls. I hear the wet thud of flesh hitting wood as some of my kinsmen crash into the palisade, shattering thick logs with the force of the impact. Others aren't so lucky, impaled on the sharpened stakes we'd set up for protection. Zolesh charges forward, his spear aimed at the beast's eye. For a heartbeat, I dare to hope, but the Dracolith moves with impossible speed for its size. Zolesh barely dodges its snapping jaws, rolling away with a grace that seems impossible in this chaos. He's alive, but the near miss shakes me to my core. If even Zolesh can barely survive, what hope do the rest of us have? All around me, chaos reigns. Tribesmen scream as they're crushed under the Dracolith's massive feet or torn apart by its companions. The air is thick with the metallic stench of blood and the acrid smell of voided bowels. I gag, bile rising in my throat. Rymud appears at my side, his carpenter's hands now gripping a bloodied spear.
We have to fall back,
he shouts over the din of the battle. The Dracolith's jaws open wide, ready to swallow me whole, but I'm not going down that easy. Not today, not ever. I thrust my spear upward with all my might, aiming for the soft flesh beneath its jaw. I wait to see if my aim is true, if this desperate gamble will pay off, or if I'm about to become Dracolith food. Either way, there's no turning back now. This is the moment that decides everything. And Weka, help me, I'm ready for it. The spear sinks deep, finding its mark beneath the Dracolith's jaw. For a moment, hope surges through me. Did I actually do it? Did I just take down this monster? But then the Dracolith roars, a sound of pain and fury that shakes me to my core. Fuck, it's not enough. The beast thrashes, my spear still lodged in its flesh, nearly wrenching my arms from their sockets as I cling to the weapon.
Let go, you idiot!
Caldo's voice cuts through the chaos, but I can't. If I let go, I'm defenseless. If I let go, I'm dead. The Dracolith's massive head whips to the side, and suddenly I'm airborne. The world spins, a blur of sky and earth and gnashing teeth. I slam into the ground, the impact knocking the air from my lungs. Pain explodes across my back, and for a moment, all I can do is lie there, gasping. Get up. Get up, you useless sack of shit. Tornu didn't die for you to give up now. I struggle to my feet, my vision swimming. Where's my spear? Where's the Dracolith? Roan's breath, everything hurts. A shadow falls over me, and I look up to see the wounded Dracolith bearing down on me, my spear still protruding from its jaw. Its eyes burn with hatred, promising a slow and painful death. I'm sorry, Tornu, I tried. But before the Dracolith can strike, a blur of motion catches my eye. Zolesh launches himself onto the beast's back, his knife flashing as he stabs repeatedly at the base of its skull.
Fucking move, cousin, he yells. Get to cover.
I stumble backward, my legs feeling like jelly. The Dracolith roars in pain and fury, trying to shake Zolesh off, but he clings on, a tiny figure against the massive beast, buying me precious seconds to retreat. As I reach the relative safety within the palisade, I turn to see Zolesh leap clear just as the Dracolith collapses. Holy shit, he actually did it. He took down the big one. But there's no time to celebrate. More Dracoliths pour in, filling the space left by their fallen leader. It's like fighting the tide. For every one we kill, 2 more take its place. "We can't hold them," Kyra shouts, her voice tinged with desperation. "There are too many." She's right. We're being overwhelmed. The warriors we have left are tiring. Our defenses are crumbling around us. I can see the fear in everyone's eyes, the realization that we might not survive this. Ansel's voice rises above the din.
Fall back to the inner palisade. Protect the children and elders.
No, this can't be happening. We can't die here. We can't let these monsters win. But as I look around, I see the truth of our situation. We're losing. We're fucking losing, and there's nothing I can do about it. Or is there? I grasp at every idea I can think of, my mind scrambling for abso-fucking-lutely anything to give us a fighting chance as we retreat, dragging the wounded with us. The Dracoliths surge forward, tearing into our outer defenses like they're made of grass. The sound of splintering wood fills the air, mixing with the screams of the injured and the roars of the beasts. As we huddle in front of the inner palisade, I can't help but feel like we're trapped. This is our last stand, our final defense. If they break through here, it's over. Everything we've fought for, everything we've built, gone in an instant. Come on, Yoren. Come on. There has to be something. Think, you idiot, think. I look out over the sea of scales and teeth, my heart sinking. There are so many of them, crowding into the village center, trampling our homes, destroying everything in their path. And then I see it. Of course. Far outside where our outer palisade stood. At the end of my vision, as I strain my eyes to get a better look, I feel the smallest flicker of hope. My eyes widen as realization hits me like a punch to the gut. The majority of the Dracoliths outside are gathered directly beneath the large rain catchment system I built for my proving. The canopy of leaves I set up as a possible temporary shelter is sagging under the weight of several days' worth of rainwater from that torrential downpour. For a moment, all I can do is stare, my mind racing with the possibilities. Could it be? Is there actually a way out of this nightmare? As the Dracoliths press closer, their jaws snapping at our final defenses, I can't tear my eyes away from that water-laden canopy. It's crazy. It's impossible. It's probably suicide. And I'd be leaving the rest of my tribe to fight the Dracoliths within our walls. But it might be our only chance. My heart pounds in my chest as I stare at the sagging canopy. It's now or never. If I don't act, we're all dead anyway. "Zolesh!" I yell, grabbing his arm. "Cover me!" He looks at me like I've lost my mind. Maybe I have.
What you doing, cousin?
"Something stupid," I mutter, then louder. "Trust me." Before he can argue, I'm bolting past the wreckage of our outer palisade. Arrows and spears, even the occasional bone knife whistle past my ears, but I can't afford to flinch. One slip and I'm Dracolith food.
Yoren!
Ansel's voice booms from below.
Get back here! That's an order!
Sorry, Ansel. Can't follow orders if we're all dead. I reach the top, balancing precariously as I survey the chaos below. Roan's breath, there are even more of them than I thought. The forest underneath the woven leaf canopy I constructed is a mass of scales and teeth. I sprint towards my creation, dodging snapping jaws and lashing tails. A smaller Dracolith lunges at me, but Zolesh appears out of nowhere, driving one knife into its eye and the other up underneath its chin.
"Go!" he shouts. "Whatever you plan, do it fast."
I reach the base of the structure, my hands shaking as I grasp the main support. This is it. Moment of truth. With a roar that comes from somewhere deep inside me, I push. The wood groans, resisting. No matter how hard I push, nothing is happening. "Come on, you piece of shit, break!" Then I hear it, a crack. The sound of wood splintering under immense pressure. Vale, yeah. These last few months of training and pushing myself have really paid off. "This is for Tornu, you fucking scale-covered bastards!" I scream, feeling my throat get more raw with every word. The structure wobbles, then begins to tilt, slow at first, then faster. The Dracoliths beneath it look up, confused. Too late, they realize the danger. With a thunderous crash, the entire canopy comes down, Tons of water and debris crash over the Dracoliths, sweeping them off their feet. The smaller ones disappear entirely under the deluge. Even the larger beasts are knocked down, thrashing in the sudden flood. I'm caught in the edge of it, the force of the water carrying me swiftly back out of the forest and slamming me against the remnants of a hut. My lungs burn as I fight to keep my head above water. But then the water recedes, leaving me gasping on the muddy ground. I struggle to my feet, blinking water from my eyes. The spot in the forest where I completed the first trial of my proving is a scene of utter devastation. Broken wood and torn leaves litter the ground, and among the debris, Dracolith bodies. Dozens of them, maybe more. Some crushed by the falling structure, others drowned in the flood. The survivors are in chaos. The smaller ones flee, disappearing deeper into the forest with terrified shrieks. The larger beasts lumber after them, clearly shaken by the unexpected attack. I did it. I actually did it. A brief cheer goes up from the palisade as our people realize what's happened. I see Zolesh grinning like a madman, Kyra and Caldo embracing in relief. But as I look over the village, my heart sinks. The battle isn't over yet. Several Dracoliths are still inside our walls, wreaking havoc among the huts. I can hear screams, see flashes of movement as our warriors continue to fight. We've won a victory, but the war isn't over. Not by a long shot. Weka, Roan, any ancient one who's listening, give me strength. We've got more fighting to do.